New at 4 in today's Community Focus, from the ongoing healthcare crisis to ongoing legal battles with the Trump administration, there's certainly a lot on Attorney General Peter Neronha's plate. He joins me now live in studio. Thanks for being here.
Sure, Kim.
So let's start with the healthcare stuff. We now know that United Health Medicare Advantage patients are no longer covered at Brown University Health hospitals in Rhode Island. Are you concerned about how this adds to the healthcare crisis in general?
Yeah, it certainly doesn't help, and we're seeing a lot of healthcare disputes across the state, some of them labor related. Look, I think eventually these things will get sorted out. I think the good news for Rhode Islanders is that, as I understand it, they can still see their doctors, and so they haven't lost their primary source of getting care. And certainly, if they have any kind of medical emergency, they need to call 911, go to the hospital, and the rest will sort itself out.
I want to talk to you about a recently passed law, an anti-bid rigging law, which when you investigated the ILO contract, you said if the state had a statute like this on the books at the time, maybe things would have turned out differently at the end of your investigation. Are you satisfied with the law that the General Assembly just passed, and how does it protect taxpayers?
Yeah, so if you remember, what the state police found in the ILO case was that the governor had effectively directed the ILO contract, the state reopening of schools contract, to ILO. He'd also gotten some services arranged by the same people, but we couldn't establish a link between those two things, which would have turned it into a different kind of criminal case. But bid rigging is a law that many states have, the federal government has, where you just take a public contract and rather than following objective standards for awarding it, you kind of send it to people for whatever reason. We didn't have that law. We have it now. Really, I think the General Assembly really saw after the ILO investigation that we unveiled with the state police, our results, that Rhode Island needed that law. And what it will mean for Rhode Islanders is that they can be assured now that when contracts aren't awarded to the best party to deliver for Rhode Islanders, and that happens because somebody steered it to their friends, as what the state police found in the ILO case that the governor did, that won't happen again. There'll be a consequence. I
want to talk to you about the Washington Bridge lawsuit that is ongoing. The state has now filed a response to some counterclaims that were made by two of the contractors who are being sued, essentially denying all of the allegations. I know there's not much you can say. Is this sort of what we're going to be experiencing over the next couple months or a year of this back and forth? Years. Okay, this back and forth.
Yeah, this is going to, I think the trial date has been set for the judge, by the judge after I leave office. So we're talking 2027 sometime. Look, this is high stakes, corporate, if you will, litigation. These are all corporate defendants. There will be a ton of posturing. Frankly, both sides will try to, including the state, will try to portray the case in the light most favorable to their respective clients. But at the end of the day, these facts are likely to play out in a courtroom, and Rhode Islanders will see exactly what happened here. It'll take some time. Hopefully the bridge will be built by then, and maybe that'll be a little bit of a little solace for waiting so long for the trial and accountability, but it'll happen eventually.
So just to be clear, this trial might happen after the new bridge is already built?
Well, I'm being optimistic. Okay. Let's hope so.
All right, fair enough. Let's talk about the multiple lawsuits you now have against the Trump administration. That number is now at 25. Talk to me about the manpower this takes. How many people in your office are working on this? Take me behind the scenes.
Yeah, so well, when we agreed with our fellow offices that we were going to work together across the country, I assigned 3 people essentially to that: Sarah Rice and Kate Sabatini and Keith Hoffman. 3 people at the real top of our civil division, really bright lawyers. And then there are other more junior lawyers helping them. And so one might ask, why spend all this time on these cases? It's because at a minimum, it means millions upon millions of dollars, tens of millions, perhaps hundreds of millions of dollars for education and highway infrastructure. Just take, for example, the case we have against the administration involving federal highway funds. If we don't win that case, then all of our highway funds could be in jeopardy. It comes down to how we do immigration here in Rhode Island. So the stakes are high, so it warrants a high level of talent from the office. It warrants involvement. It always comes back to the same 3 things, Kim, briefly. Has the president broken the law? Has it harmed Rhode Islanders? And do we have legal standing? And where that happens, we're going to sue along with our fellow our fellow officers. We filed 6 cases here in Rhode Island. We've had great success in all of them in stopping what the president's doing while we've had an injunction in place. So I feel like we've done well by the people of the state, and we're going to continue to do it.
And just quickly, before I let you go, I have to ask about politics because observers are keeping an eye on when you might make an announcement. You said on Newsmakers you might decide this summer whether or not you'll run for governor. It's July. Are you any closer to a decision?
Well, you know, Kim, there's so much going on at the office right now. I just came from a meeting involving, frankly, Roger Williams and Fatima Hospitals. That is kind of coming to a head again. There's so much to do that's where my head is. I do hope I'll have a little bit of time away with family later this month and early August to really think about what's next for me. But I'm not ready to make any decisions yet.
We will certainly check in with you then. Attorney General Peter Neronha, thanks so much for being here.
Nice to be with you.